Hey everybody from Windy Acre Bees, it is crunch time here in the Northeast, especially in the northern part of the country, but boy, it sure is here in the Northeast. Just got back from New Hampshire late last night. Well, we actually had snow flurries coming down as we were going through the mountains. That weather is chased us back here to Massachusetts. We have one more beautiful day here in the Northeast, and then our weather is taking a nosedive tomorrow right into fall. So we have about 4 or 5 weeks to get these girls built up as much as we can. Never very good at doing this selfie stuff here where I'm staring at myself in the camera. But what we're going to do is we're going to whirl around here real quick, and we're going to let you know what we're going to tell you about in this video, how to get your bees built up, especially those weak colonies here before winter, unless you got to combine them, they're that weak. So if you take a look here real quick, we're just going to go through. Our girls are really busy today. I think they know that there is something in the air here. I don't know how well this camera is picking these girls up here because I got it turned around, but they are busy, and they're going to get even busier here. We are working towards getting build up, getting stores put away, and getting them fed. And I am going to show you what is in this jar right here that is going to help you get your bees built up for winter, so stay tuned. So I stopped home to grab some parts for work, and these feeders have been out for about 2 hours. Empty already. 2 hours, 5 gallons. So, boy, it's hard to get in the middle of these girls. Look how crazy this is. Do you see dead bees down here everywhere? No, not at all. Not a dead bee anywhere. So somebody threw up a video of a Vino Farms from a couple of years ago that was having problems with community feeding. And geez, they just want to land all over me to get pruned up and head back to their colonies. Come on, girls, go away. So anyways, same with this other feeder over here. I just want to lift up on it, see what else is in here. Oh, they still got a bit left in here, so it's just not coming out fast enough, which I don't want it coming out too fast. I just want it to come out steady and let them sit there and feed without killing each other. And go back over to here and just take a look at the weight on this one. That one feeds water out a lot faster than this one does. Yeah, I did go a little while ago. So that one's about half full. The other one is probably about 3/4 full over there. But anyways, just a couple things. The reason why Vino Farms and a lot of other people have problems with community feeding. Why do you never feed them next to your colonies? My colonies are way over there. Our feeders are way over here. You create robbing. And a lot of other problems when you feed them right next to your colonies. So when you're in the dearth, do not feed these community feeders next to your colonies. Number 2, it's got to be warm out. Vino Farms had, you look here on the ground, and these bees aren't dead. They're just landing on the grass here. They're grooming themselves. They're happy. And what I mean by grooming themselves, look at this one right here. She's just landing on me, cleaning herself up. She's been standing in that sugar for just a little bit and drinking. They do this when they do any feeding in hive too. These girls here just landing on me to clean themselves up. So what you got to do is keep these girls away from their other colonies while they feed. Temperature. He was feeding them at 55 degrees. You never community feed when it's that cold. They're going to drink that cold sugar water, and then they are going to land on the ground there to groom, and they're going to die because they're going to die of hypothermia. They're never going to make it back. You'll kill thousands of bees that way. So 58, 60 degrees. I'm better at 60 degrees and sunny. 58 degrees if it's a sunny day and the sun has warmed that ground up and they can, function okay. That's fine. So never in cold weather do you feed community bees. You shouldn't even be feeding bees, 52 degrees or so. You shouldn't be feeding bees sugar water from that temperature below. And again, the community feeding is done with these poultry feeders. I do use bucket feeders as well. If you use bucket feeders, a 1-to-1 or even 2-to-1 especially, the bucket feeders, the holes are so small that they will actually, the sugar water congeals, and it can't get out of those holes. They can't get it out of those holes. Same thing inside of their colony. If you feed them in hive or top feeders on the top of your colonies, and it's that cold out, you're giving them hypothermia. You're messing them up, and that they just can't get that feed out of there, and so it causes problems there. Let's see, community feeding here, you're giving them what you give them. They're not dumpster diving somewhere and getting all kinds of crap from their into those dumpsters and bringing it back to their colonies here. So just some pros against this. I don't have any cons against community feeding at all. It's a great thing for them. Gets the foragers out. The other thing is, I actually believe the foragers' longevity is a little longer than your typical, bee's life of 45 days, because they're only flying 60 feet, 75 feet, 100 feet, even 100 or 200 yards, depending on your land that you feed them on. They're only flying that far, and they're not flying 3, 5, 6 miles looking for food. They're finding it right here, so they're not working as hard, and they're bringing it back, and they're happy all the way around. So longevity is, I think, is a good thing here for our bees too. You see the girls up here; they just come up here and groom. You get some of them to actually groom each other. They're helping the others get that sugar water off of there. They're not fighting. They don't fight at all in these community feeders. They're just bustling around, just pushing each other out of the way so they can get to that sugar water. And there's nothing wrong with that. So if you were to place a camera inside of your colony after you put sugar water in there, you would see something similar to this. Obviously, maybe not as many bees, but you would see several hundred foragers inside of that colony, and workers and nurse bees trying to get to that food inside of your colony. So you will see something like this. The only con to this that I could possibly think of that I just saw right here is that a yellow jacket. This will draw some yellow jackets here, but I'd rather the yellow jackets be drawn to this community feeders instead of to your colonies, where they're trying to get in and causing them a lot of stress there. So yeah, you'll get a couple yellow jackets. They don't stand a chance. That yellow jacket don't stand a chance of getting inside there to getting any of that sugar water. They'll just hang around here until all these girls empty this out, and they'll try to pick up some scraps. So let's see, it's about 9:30 in the morning. They'll have these feeders emptied by noon, so that'll be about 20 gallons total. We got these 3 here, and then way out on the other side of one of those bushes, we have another one set up over there. So 20 gallons in a day, that's really nothing. I could put out 40 gallons. I could put out 8 feeders out here, and all 8 of them would be gone. I'll take a look at this here. This is one of our peach trees. Just look at them all. They're all resting here on these branches. And that's another thing I like to do. I like to put a feeder next to a bush or some kind of shrubbery somewhere, because it gives them a great place to get in here and just land. You can see them all over these bushes, just all over leaves. It gives them a great place for them to land and groom, and then get back to their colony, unload everything. You can see them here. They're really, I don't know why we won't focus, but really grooming themselves up nice, and they're still even landing on me and everything. So community feeding is a good thing. Don't let anybody tell you that it's bad. Professionals and hobbyists, both will tell you that community feeding is good. There's really no cons against it. At least I've never seen any. So if you can do it, do it. It's a great thing. Let them stretch their wings, get out. And they're actually very happy today. We'll take one quick walk over here, and we'll just see what it looks like at the colonies themselves. Usually right now during the dearth, they're kind of laggy. They're just hanging around the colonies, bearded up on the colonies, not doing anything because there's no food to get. But I bet you if I get over here, it'll look like springtime with all these girls busting in and out of these colonies, and it does. It just looks crazy. This is like the springtime stuff here. They think that there's a nectar flow coming in because they are bringing that nectar back, and they're telling the other bees where it is, and the queens will get all jazzed up. They start laying eggs. I mean, this is really nice to see. these girls actually out working and doing their thing instead of just sitting here lollygagging around and bored and doing nothing. So nice thing to see. Get your bees fed. It's dearth time. 1-to-1 sugar water, pollen substitute if you got it, a little feeding stimulant, and boy, you're going to grow your colonies huge before winter. Have a good day, everybody. Hey everybody, from Windy Acre Bees out here in Western Massachusetts. We are going to talk about some feeding ingredients and why we're putting that in here. First day of fall here in the Northeast, we're mixing together, getting some sugar feeders ready, some community feed going today. Got some of the girls out here splashing in the leftover sugar water that's on the grass. And so basically we're going to get into this video quick here, not bore you to death, but tomorrow our weather takes kind of a pretty much a turn for the worse. Rain, cold. We were in New Hampshire up until last night, and it was actually on the way home some snow flurries. So the weather is on our doorsteps here, and it's getting here quicker and quicker. So we have a few weeks left to get these girls fed and boosted up. So what we've been doing for the last couple of weeks is feeding 2-to-1 to get their stores built up. And so now that they are well on their way to doing that, and we do still have some colonies that are a little bit light, but we're not worried. We have a little bit of time, and they are packing it in as quick as they can. But my concern right now is my bee populations. Although in most of my colonies they're really good, but if you have a couple colonies that they're just not quite building up, I'll tell you why they're not. If you've learned anything in your bee schools or in reading or in listening to people talking about your bees and stuff, this time of year, our bee populations were on a decrease since probably about July, and our mite increase was up. So we've been harping on everybody, get your mites under control, get them killed off, get them below that 3%, 1% or 0%. So now that you've done that, and you should have done that by now, we've got to work on feeding. And now that our queens have been in a dearth for a while here in the Northeast, so that has brought brood production way down. We're talking like 1,200 bees down to maybe 400 to 600 bees a day. If bees are dying at a rate of 1,000 bees a day in our colonies, which is just natural for that to be happening, she can't replenish them, so you start to develop weak colonies. I hope that makes sense. So what we need to do is we need to build up those colonies for wintertime. And the way to do it is to simulate a nectar flow. So we've gone from the 2-to-1, we're going back to 1-to-1. Using your pure granulated sugar and then adding Honey Be Healthy and some protein pollen substitute, we're simulating that nectar flow. That queen sees that food starting to come in, so now she starts going into overdrive again, and she starts producing brood. And that's what we want to happen so we can get our bees built up for wintertime to keep themselves warm. So we'll go back to that 2-to-1 periodically, and in the next few weeks, right up until the end of October, or however long as weather lets us permits us to do it in feeding in hive. But so today, what we're doing is just showing you what to do to make that mixture. So I have a teaspoon that I use right here, and the easiest way to let you guys know how to mix this would be using a quart jar. So what I do is I take a half a quart of sugar water, and then I place in a teaspoon of pollen substitute and a teaspoon of our Honey Be Healthy feeding stimulant. And David Burns goes a step further, and they have a Honey Be Healthy with amino B acids, which I don't have any here. I got to pick up a bottle later on this week. But a teaspoon of that as well gives the added protein, it gives the added nutrients, so we can bring as close to the nutrients that the bees need to them. So teaspoon of Honey Be Healthy, teaspoon of pollen substitute for your 1-to-1 quart jar. And if you're mixing it about a gallon, you just have to adjust it by that. So a gallon would be 4 quarts, so you'd reduce 4 teaspoons of each of these inside of there. And it basically, I mix the Honey Be Healthy and the water in here, along with the pollen substitute first. I use a burner this time of year with these big pots because I'm making 20 gallons at a time, so it's quicker for me. You can use regular hot tap water if you're just making, a gallon at a time. And I warm that up, not super hot, but I warm it up enough to dissolve that sugar pretty quick. I mix my 2 bags of sugar to 2.5 gallons of water. That gives me just about 5 gallons of sugar water when I'm done. And that's all there is to it. I have this paint mixer here attached to a screw gun. Makes it really fast to kind of stir in. You can see how fast you can stir in that sugar water really quick. And we're warm enough now, so we're just going to shut this burner down and ready to add our sugar to it. So that's it. You can do this in the springtime too. Get that spring buildup really quick. Again, the other purpose behind this is our queens will stop laying probably in about, mid-November or so, and then she'll start picking up in mid-January again. So as they're storing this away, they're consuming all their pollen that they're bringing in now. That'll all be consumed very soon. So the protein's gone. So a lot of people take sugar bricks and stuff like that. Sure, it gives them carbohydrates and some extra food, but they don't have that protein. And I know some commercial beekeepers, they don't go through the expense of using this, but, when we're only running 20 or less colonies, it's easy to do with a bucket of this every year. And we add that in, so it'll keep that protein going to that queen. She'll think the nectar flow's coming in, the protein coming in, and she'll start building up that brood. And then as they consume this slowly over the wintertime, as they're starting to come into spring, into that January market, February, when she's starting to lay again, that stored food and sugar water that's in there has protein in it. So that's going to help her. It's going to help the brood that's in there. It's going to help feed the brood that's in there, that hatching brood. And it's also going to give the nutrients to the bees that are already in there as well. Doesn't mess them up at all. I've never had a problem, them storing this over the wintertime. And it'll blow your mind, the buildup that you'll have when you do your first inspection. You're expecting to see maybe 8,000 bees, and you open that cover up and they're just piled in the top of that hive, and really brings them out of winter really strong. As we get into wintertime, I'm going to show you how to use this to make your candy boards, and or just sugar blocks as well. If you don't have boards, I'm going to show you how to use this to make a cookie sheet of a sheet of sugar candy with this stuff in it, and it's going to go a long way to help your bees during the wintertime. So that's it for now. I'm not going to bore you to death too much anymore with this. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comment section. I'll be glad to explain more. Attached to this, I'm going to show you how to make a bucket feeder, and the pros for using community feeding, which we are still doing. But once we start getting any days, which are coming up, that are going to be, 63, 62 degrees, it's all going to be in hive. If we get a day, that gets up in the high 60s, then we'll do a community feed again. But for right now, it's in hive feeding after today. And the bucket feeder thing, I will show you why Vino Farms had such a hard time, and some other people have such a hard time feeding with community feed, and the do's and don'ts to behind the community feeding. So that's it, everybody. Grab some of this stuff if you can real quick, and we'll talk to you soon. Hey, everybody from Windy Acre Bees. So I'm just coming over here. I stopped home to check on some parts that came in that I needed for work, and show you what is going on here. These girls are just, they are just flying today, literally. They can't get in and out of these colonies fast enough. It's almost like if you watch them sometimes, it's almost like they're being launched out of these boxes. Some girls still bringing in some pollen, which is good. Get them some protein for their brood that they're rearing between now and November, which is going to be our winter bees. And so we got to get these colonies built up strong. We have about 2 or 3 light on stores, but we still have a couple weeks to get them packed in. They do have in-hive feeders, and they're very slow to that because we've had a little bit of a flow from goldenrod and knotwood, I think. So they're not taking the sugar water in the colony as much. But just look at these girls. They can't get in and out of here fast enough. Sometimes I even think that this is even more so than springtime sometimes as far as their activity. And I'm going to show you why they are so busy here, especially today. So we're going to pause you for a minute. We're going to take a walk and show you why they're so busy. All right, so it was really cool this morning. Our mornings coming just after daylight have been in the maybe high 40s, so they're taking a little longer to get going, but here's what the fuss is all about. They are getting in here and working on a community feeder. We got a 2-to-1 going here today because I want them storing a little bit more. Most of my colonies are in good shape so far, but I want one of probably about 3 or 4 of my girls' colonies to get bolstered up a little bit more, which they are doing. They're just a little slow at it, so But they're doing really good here. I'm going to stick my fingers in here and push them out of the way. But they're getting to all that goodness that I gave them down there this morning. Move these rocks out of the way a little bit and let them get in there. They're drinking it as fast as it can come out. So they are really, really busy today. And that's community feed 1. We have about, oh, I don't know, probably about maybe 2 gallons left out of that 5 gallons. Same here with these girls. Really busy on this community feeder here. Like I said, they are sucking it up just as fast as they can get it out. I'm going to pull a rock out of here and let them access that sugar a little bit better. Initially, these stones here are to let them not drown, but when they're drinking it so fast, there's not really a chance of that happening. So they're all up here getting groomed up, even landing on me here, and they're just grooming up. We even got a little bit of a bumblebee sitting right there on top of that other girl, and he's actually cleaning her. He's getting that sugar water off of her. But yeah, it's pretty cool watching this. I wish I had more time to just watch them and see what they're doing. But they are just, when I run my fingers in here, they are just packed in there, as packed as they can get, fighting for that sugar water. And then they come out here on this grass and the rocks and everything on top, and they groom a bit. This right here was a full plate of pollen substitute, and they've been a little busy on it, grabbing some, filling up their pollen baskets and bringing it back. They're not as crazy on it as they would be in the springtime, but we put it out here just as a little side dish for them, and they are eating some of it. They've got about half of that consumed already. But yep, this is what the fuss is all about at my colonies. 2-to-1 sugar water today. We have 1-to-1 inside of the colonies for food, and like I've mentioned to you guys in other videos a million times, the pollen substitute is added in there just to rear that brood up. Once we get into the point in time where you know, we get towards the end of October, before we stop feeding, we'll stop the protein and pollen substitute, and we'll get some more basically carbohydrates and some amino acids and stuff like that into them for wintertime. But yeah, this container here, 5 gallons, and it was filled right to the top. This one here just about empty, so they're gonna have to move on to the other ones. But so let's see, my recipe for this, as I've told you guys before, for a 5-gallon bucket, if that's what you're going to make, it's basically for a 2-to-1 mixture. I put in, let's see, 2 gallons of water, and then 30 pounds of sugar will give you a close 2-to-1 ratio, and that will make 5 gallons. So don't take 5 gallons of water and try to mix it, because you'll wind up with 8 gallons. So 2 gallons of water, 30 pounds of sugar for 5 gallons, and with that I put in about 7 or 8 teaspoons of feeding stimulant, just to sweeten the pot, and then I put 7 or 8 teaspoons of pollen substitute in that. Mix it well. Because you're making a large quantity at one time, you really got to get that water pretty hot to dissolve all that sugar, or you're going to be stirring it for quite a long time to get it mixed in good. So get it mixed in really, really good. But they love the stuff. It really jazzes them up on a day like today. So we're out of here, and we're going to let these girls finish up these buckets and let them finish off the day, and I'm going to go finish mine. So thanks for watching.